Hello everybody, Scotia here, and wow, it's finally happened. We've finally gotten Street Fighter 6 officially announced only hours ago at the end of the Capcom Pro Tour season finals. If you didn't see the video I put out yesterday, I basically was just kind of going over a lot of hints and kind of evidence that supported the idea that we were going to get Street Fighter 6 announced today. So myself and a lot of people that were kind of guessing this, we ended up being correct, which is great to see. And yeah, we're finally have Street Fighter 6 announced. We're finally heading into the next era of Street Fighter, and man, I have a lot to say. So right off the bat, we have to address the immediate elephant in the room, which is how the game looks. And I'm kind of glad I actually didn't do a reaction video, because I said at the end of my last video I was thinking about doing one for the reveal, and I'm glad I didn't. The only reason I didn't do it was because it was very windy at 6 a.m. this morning for me. So I thought, I didn't want to have to like fight the sound of wind in the background. But I'm glad I didn't, because when I initially saw this, I did not like how this game looked when I first saw the trailer. I was really against it. I just thought it looked awful. I hated how it looked. I thought Luke looked horrendous. I was really just not happy with it. And then I kind of watched it again, and then I was talking to people online, and I kind of slowly kind of got over it. And what I think it was that I think it was the initial kind of whiplash, that kind of like, whoa, like it looks so different to Street Fighter 5. And now I like it. Now I think it looks good, and I'm interested in seeing how the rest of the roster looks, and how different Street Fighter characters are going to translate into the style. But that immediate reaction, I was not keen on it. I mean, I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad I didn't do it, because it would have just been me just going on about how I didn't like it. And then obviously, as soon as I would have probably finished recording, I would have been like, actually I do like it. So I'm glad I kind of took the time to like watch it a few times and then kind of gather my thoughts on it, kind of like take it all in and then go from it. There's still elements I'm not 100% keen on, but I'll kind of get to that. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't say I'm in love with it, but I'm intrigued a lot by it. I think it definitely looks good. I need to see it in game though. Like, I need to see an actual match playing out before I make a full decision. But just based off how the characters look, they look really good. I'm currently watching the trailer on loop at the moment while I talk about it, and it's obviously the RE engine. I mean, it could be Unreal Engine, but I'm pretty sure if it's Capcom, it's going to be the RE engine. And that was kind of what a lot of people were thinking. I had personally heard. Now, I'm not an insider. I don't have the scoops, but I had heard a couple times over the past couple of years that Street Fighter 6 was going to be using the RE engine, and I think for the most part that was common sense really. I think a lot of people assumed that was going to happen. And obviously with the RE engine, when you look at the other games that have used that engine, like DMC5 and Resident Evil 2, 3, and 7 and 8, it's a very realistic looking engine. The characters all look very realistic, and they've used the photo scanning, and characters and the faces are modeled off real people, and that's not the case here. You can tell this has a much more stylized aspect to it. I mean, when I look at Ryu in particular, his face does not, like, if I put Ryu's face next to like Dante's face or like Leon's face, very different. You can tell there's a lot more cartoony / anime aspect to Ryu's face, which works a lot better. I think it fits with Street Fighter. So I'm glad it's not full on realism, or at least not full on Resident Evil / Devil May Cry realism, but it's definitely realism. And yeah, it's one of those things. I'll still have to keep getting used to it as I kind of see more of the game and keep watching this trailer in particular. But it is very, very different, and yeah, it's just getting used to it, It's so different. Like I said, I really just want to see it in game. But yeah, in terms of how it looks, I'm intrigued. I don't hate it. Still need to be sold on it a bit more. But yeah, overall, I think it's good. I think what is most important is that I think it needs to kind of be this different, because it needs to be different from Street Fighter 5. I said before in my last video when I was talking about the countdown, what do I want from Street Fighter 6 the most? Or at least not the most, but like, what do I want in terms of how it looks? And I said I wanted it to be different. And obviously, it would have been silly for me to complain about the game looking too different if I'd kind of done that reaction and gone on about how I didn't like how it looked. It's a bit silly to me to go, oh, I want the game to look different, and then when it looks different, you complain. So I'm glad glad I didn't do that. But it needed to look different, because I think for most people, I think I've said before, Street Fighter 5 at the moment is in a pretty good spot. The game is pretty fun now. It's kind of too, not too little, but it's kind of too late for me. I think I would have liked Street Fighter 5 to be in the spot it's in now, like years ago. So I've already made my peace with that game. But it's a good game, and when I play it, I have fun. But obviously, they're never going to really shake the bad kind of word of mouth and the bad impression that people got back in 2016 when it launched, and which which was deserved. Street Fighter 5 in 2016 was launched in a horrendous state. I'm sure people who were there at the time remember, and I think they needed to do this, because if this had just been like another iteration of Street Fighter 5 style, or like an evolution of 5, like 5 was to 4, where it's like it's different and it looks better, but it's kind of the same, going for the same kind of thing. People would have immediately gone, no, I don't trust it. They're just going to do the same thing. This immediately gives people the idea that they're doing something different. Like, we're not just going to do the same thing. Like, to me, if I'm a casual, not even just casual, but just somebody who was burnt by Street Fighter 5's initial launch, if I see this, I'm immediately thinking, okay, they're not making the same mistakes. Like, they're doing something different. I'm not gonna have, like, there's a chance when I get this game, it's not gonna have the same issues that Street Fighter 5 had when I got it back in 2016. I think that's what this tells me. Like, if I kind of go into that mindset of somebody who, like I said, was burnt by Street Fighter 5 when they played it for the first time back in 2016. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it needed to happen. And am I glad it did? We'll have to see. Like I said, my final verdict on how it looks will be decided when I see it in-game, like when I see a physical match playing out. So in terms of how the characters look themselves, I think Ryu looks really, really good. I'm glad they went with the battle costume from Street Fighter 5 as kind of the base of the default costume. I know people call that the Hot Ryu skin. I call it that sometimes too. But I think it was his battle costume from Street Fighter 5. I know at the time, myself and a lot of people really wanted that costume to be his default in Street Fighter 5. Obviously, it never happened. So it's really cool to see them kind of go back and kind of like listen to people in that aspect and, make it his default now. It's crazy to even think that Ryu even has a redesign. This is literally his first redesign ever in terms of like a default costume. Obviously, he's had alternate costumes in the past. But for, Ryu, his base costume to be a redesign is crazy. I mean, would have I been bothered if they just left him normal? Not really. I mean, Ryu's Ryu. It would have been boring. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But for them to have changed it, I mean, that's really, really cool. And that kind of, I have theories I'll kind of get into in a minute. But it's really, really cool to see that. Obviously, as well, he has like sandals, or I don't know the name for them. There's probably a more like Japanese name for it. But to see him have footwear as well is really weird and interesting. I don't really know if there'll be a reason for it, or if they just decided to just have him wear shoes. But for Ryu to not be barefoot, again, that's very weird. It's very interesting to see them kind of go just in a different direction with him for once. So yeah, definitely for Ryu, I am very much a fan of what they've done to him. I think this is a good look for him. I think it's a good change up for him, and I think it works. It's not too drastic, but it makes him more interesting. With Luke, I'm a bit more mixed on him, honestly. Personally, I know a lot of people weren't happy with how Luke looked in Street Fighter 5, but like I said, I think in a previous video, there's aspects to his design I liked, and there were aspects I didn't like. And the one thing that stands out to me is probably the biggest negative for me, is that I don't like his hair. I just think it makes him look way more generic. I know people said he looked generic anyway, but with Luke's hair in Street Fighter 5, I liked how it made him stand out. And I also like how it made him kind of fit in with the other military guys like Guile and Nash, who also had, weird hair, but again, made them stand out too. And I like how Luke kind of fit in with there. And I just like the hair. I thought it looked cool on him. I thought it was unique. It stood out. And I think this hair that he has in this trailer, I think it's just really generic in comparison. And it's a shame to see them kind of go that route. I'm sure he'll have a costume that's more in line with his Street Fighter 5 design, if not exactly his Street Fighter 5 design. So I'm not too worried. But one aspect I think is very weird is that they seem to have just gotten rid of all of his tattoos. I mean, even on his arms, like the tattoos on his arms, the stars, they're just completely gone. He has a shirt now which has a pattern on it that covers his chest. That is literally the exact same pattern, or the exact same tattoo pattern he had on him, like he had tattooed on his chest. And it's almost like the shirt with that pattern is a replacement for the tattoo, because the way it lines up is exactly how the tattoo was placed on him in 5. And that, combined with the fact that he has no tattoos on his arms anymore, almost to me like makes me feel like Capcom have kind of gone back on that aspect of his design. I know people weren't happy with the amount of tattoos he had. I wasn't really bothered by it, but it's kind of odd for them to just kind of not only like cover up the tattoos but then give him a pattern that just replaces it anyway, but to straight up like get rid of the tattoos on his arms. It's very odd, and part of me is kind of honestly kind of like, why did they even like give Luke the design he had in Street Fighter 5? Because he looks completely different in Street Fighter 6. So that's odd. I'm sure maybe when we see more of it, it'll kind of make sense maybe. But yeah, at the moment, very odd. I don't hate this design. I think overall, I feel about the same way I do about his design in Street Fighter 5. Like I said again in other videos, I preferred his story costume in Street Fighter 5 anyway. So, but I think in terms of the outfit, I think this is better than the default. I didn't like Luke's default in 5, but I am disappointed he's lost the hair. Like I said, I much preferred how that hair looked. But yeah, also as well, he has a lot of scars. And I'll kind of I'll get into that in a minute about my kind of theory on that. Overall, Ryu, I think looks great. Luke, I'm not really, a fan of it. Again, it doesn't really bother me to the point where I'm like, boo this character or anything. I'm interested in seeing him more in-game. But I'm definitely, like I said, there's aspects I'm kind of to it that I don't think are as good as they were in 5, whereas other aspects I think have been done better. But yeah, overall, that's my opinion on the characters. So my theory in terms of why I think Ryu's design and Luke's scars are interesting is because at this point I'm pretty confident this game will be moving past Street Fighter 3 in the timeline. And if you follow this channel for any period of time, you'll probably have known that that's something I've wanted for a long time. So I'm very excited at that idea of it. I don't know how long we're going to be going past Street Fighter 3. Part of me thinks it could just be like, not long after it, or there's this other part of me that thinks we could be actually going past it by quite a bit. And I mainly base that off, again, Ryu's design and Luke's scars. Ryu's design, obviously time has passed, he looks a bit older now, he's clearly been training somewhere. He's got the beard, so time has passed at some point, With Luke, though, the scars definitely show that. So, okay, so at the end of Street Fighter 5, of Luke's character story, he left the military, Guile let him go from the military, and he wanted to go wander and be a wandering fighter, just like everybody else, really. And I think clearly his design shows, the scars show that that's what Luke has been doing. He's been getting into lots of fights, and maybe there'll be a particular character that Luke will have fought that will have given him his scars, but he definitely looks battle hardened. He looks like he's been on the road fighting people for a while, and those two combined, I think, just in the overall vibe of it, the vibe I get from the trailer, the music and the announcer at the end really gives me Street Fighter 3 vibes. Obviously mostly Third Strike.
Street Fighter 6.
Welcome to the world of Street Fighter 3. Prepare for battle.
But just the way it looks and feels, I don't know, to me, my gut is really telling me, chances are we're going to be going past it anyway, because, again, as I said in a previous video a while back, we've already gone past Street Fighter 3, technically within Street Fighter 5. A couple of character stories have been confirmed to have already taken place during and after Street Fighter 3. So that's not too surprising. Again, I think the surprise that comes for me is that I think the length of time past Street Fighter 3, I think is going to be a lot more sizable than a lot of us were expecting, myself included. Obviously, we'll see later on when we find out more info or in the game itself. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we're finally moving past 3, officially for an entire game, not just parts of it like with 5. So that's very exciting, and I'm very hopeful that we'll get some stuff that happened, with 3 that was left open will continue forward. But yeah, that's where my gut is telling me at the moment. That's where we're heading. So yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say about the trailer and the reveal as a whole. Obviously, it's not that long of a trailer. It's only about 40 seconds long. That's kind of probably my chief complaint, to be honest, about this whole thing, was that they really did a week-long countdown for a 40-second trailer. Okay, not what I would have done. I think a lot of people, myself included, were at least expecting a bit of gameplay. Good to see the models and all that and how the game's gonna look, but I was definitely expecting a bit more. The real gut punch though is that we're not going to find out more till the summer, which is, man, that's disappointing. That's probably the bigger bummer out of all of this for me, is how long we're now gonna have to wait for more news. I didn't think we'd be waiting that long at all. The fact that this is all we're gonna have to go off for months, that is bumming me out a bit. I'm sure it'll fly by, but yeah, I was really hoping for just a bit more, just something a bit more to kind of sink my teeth into. I really was not expecting something this much, so that's a bummer. Still though, I'm still gonna make videos on this about Street Fighter 6, about what I want, rosters that I think could be possible, or rosters I would want, characters I would want. I've been thinking about doing this in general for other series, but I think I might do a kind of a redux of what happened for the Street Fighter 3 games, now that I think we're like moving past them, but a much more shortened and condensed version that's more digestible for people to kind of watch. Because I know my other videos on New Generation, Second Impact, and Third Strike are like 20-30 minutes long, and it's like, yeah, I go into it, and I would still recommend people watch that. But for people who just want a very brief kind of like, this is the core aspect of what happened in Street Fighter 3. So I'll probably do that at some point to kind of, hopefully people can share around and to anybody who might not be aware of what Street Fighter 3 is like or what happens. So that'll probably what I'll be doing. What the next video I'll probably be putting up, which I'll probably do today if I have the time, because it's still early for me. What time is it now? Yeah, it's about 9:20 for me. I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning in preparation for this. I was too excited to really get some sleep. But if I have time today, I'll do it today, but I'll probably do it tomorrow. I'll probably do a roster speculation video, or just a kind of what I would like to see, or what I think a roster of Street Fighter 6 could end up being. So please look forward to that. Other stuff, like I said, I'll be doing Street Fighter 3 story recap, but a shortened version. What I personally want from the game itself, outside of characters. Yeah, there'll still be plenty of stuff. In terms of non-Street Fighter stuff, I have planned a review for King of Fighters 15 story, which I will be doing at some point this week. I don't know when. So yeah, I'm definitely going to keep myself busy. I'm still disappointed that, we're going to have to be waiting so long before I do more consistent content about the game. But for now, this will have to do, I guess. This is all we've really got to go off. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing else to really talk about, unfortunately. I've gone over pretty much everything I think I can say about the game. It looks good. I still want to see it in game. Still don't like Luke's hair. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I will leave you guys for now. Still so glad we're finally moving on from Street Fighter 5. No disrespect to Street Fighter 5, but I've been ready to move on for quite a while now, and I'm really glad it's happening. So thanks again for watching. Hopefully we can get some more news soon. But until then, I shall see you later. Goodbye.
We await your return, warrior.